Well, good morning and welcome back out to Ballintoy. Now, the last time I was here, the sun, I think, was on its second day of being visible from the horizon here. Of course, we got clouded out quite a lot. Now, several weeks later, the sun has obviously moved around. I think it maybe rises behind Rathlin. I must admit I haven't checked the last week or so. I don't think it's transitioned beyond Rathlin at the moment. I want to say that it's nice and clear on the horizon. We do have just a little touch of cloud looks of things, but above us we have some nice sort of broken textured clouds which we might find take on some light. Now, the shot here, that's a couple of shots, well-defined shots that, you know, have been not going for anything unique here. You obviously have an image where you can be on the beach. Now, I was hoping we were going to get slightly stronger. Yesterday we had a kind of front move through and we had some fantastic waves, but it's really calm this morning. But of course what that does mean is I can get down safely onto the little beach here and potentially shoot something here. Lovely reflections against the wall, the really dark wall as I've shot before. Potentially shooting something in the little sort of curve of rock as well. So maybe go for a couple of well photographed but nonetheless rather nice images. Some lovely. It's a shame actually that the tides hasn't made this a little bit wetter here, because obviously where you have wet sand you get some lovely reflections, but hopefully we'll get some nice colour in the cloud and we can make something quite nice. Right, let's go get set up for an initial shot. So we are about 15 minutes away from sunrise, and it's one of those situations where I don't feel it's really coming together, and I think that's partly just to do that this is such a well photographed area, and sometimes you kind of think, oh, I've maybe done this before. The other thing I'm being very careful of is it's a very pristine sand, and of course that is part of the appeal. So kind of walking around the edges first of all, and then if I need to walk back, I'm trying to sort of retrace through my footsteps. Not least, I think this scene really needs this lens on, the wider lens. The 18-135 is perhaps just a little bit not wide enough, but I don't really want to faff around with taking off the other lenses. The clouds are quite nice. Whether they take on any colour, we have a huge bright spot as you would imagine, and so not using any graduated filters, I'm having to bracket. And again, I keep going back to, I think Joe Cornish had said it, that one of the reasons why he still loves using grads is because you get to see the final image in the field, and that absolutely rings true in a morning like this morning where I'm taking a bracketed shot and I can't really see what that's going to look like until I get the image home, which is a little bit frustrating. But we'll probably edge our way a little bit closer, because as much as this sand is lovely and pristine, I'm just not sure it's working, and so I think edging a bit closer to the waves and maybe making something of that might work. Clouds are starting to catch. You can't really see it there. Let me just darken you down a little bit so that you can see it. Probably not. So I'm going to be very quick. I've brought myself quite close to the water's edge, and there's quite a nice little coming together of the waves that are sort of sweeping in from the left and sweeping in from the right, and they're kind of creating a nice sort of collision and then sort of pulling out. Now, I'm somewhere between the polarizer and the 4-stop. The polarizer isn't quite giving me the sort of slightly longer shutter speed that I want. I think the 4-stop would give me too long. But I'm going to shut up, stop talking to the camera and see whether I can get something of this. It's a horizontal position, if something or other. I am trying to take in some of that rock because it is the cliffness on the right, because it is sort of showing some of that lovely early morning reflection. But really, those clouds, that's what it's all about. The clouds over Rathman and over Sheep Island, absolutely beautiful. Right, still bracketing by the way as well. Let's see what we can get. Well, this is all rather nice. So the clouds didn't really take on too much colour. I think just as that sun was rising over the visible horizon, it was snuffed out a little bit, but then there was another gap, which there is now quite a gap until the next sort of bank of clouds, which of course is casting some lovely light. And it just so happens that the sun, honestly I planned this, I'm just keeping an eye on those waves. Oh god, here we go, we're making a move for it. This video camera is on a very dodgy tripod and it would have just fallen in, so apologies for that. Even though I hadn't planned for it, the sun actually was rising to the right hand side of Sheep Island, and it was just creating just the very slightest of sun stars. Now this 18-135 doesn't produce the best sun stars, so goodness knows how it came out. Also had to do the old thumb technique to stop any lens flare. In fact, while I remember, let me just do something. Changing my aperture back to non-sun star mode. Right, well, I reckon that sun's going to be relatively soft for the next maybe half an hour or so, so I am tempted to get the drone back up again, just because it's not too windy this morning and it's quite nice. So I might do that. I might have a little bit of a play with the drone. But it's just beautiful, and again, well visited, well shot, nothing too unique about the images, but what a beautiful way to start the day, eh? Stunning. Right, let's see whether we can mosey on and get another image, either traditionally or with the big step ladder. That's enough of that old drone nonsense. Oh, a little bit bright, am I? Let's do some of that. So the cloud has now, or the sun has now risen up through the higher bank of cloud, and that really nice sort of golden light has now gone. But hopefully the photography isn't over quite yet, because below my feet here there's some lovely dried out kelp and different sort of colours of kelp as well. And with that sun being sort of slightly more diffused, it's actually giving me some nice light across the scene. I think I just stood on my next subject there. Obviously out at about 55 mil, so I'm focus stacking this F something or other. And I just quite liked how the two sort of different colours kind of came together. And I've talked about this before, where you can try to set up. I've had a situation in the past where I've been shooting an image that I found below my feet, and then my tripod's hit it or something's happened, and you try to kind of piece together the same scene, and you just can't do it. Mother Nature wins. Mother Nature wins with piecing together little bits of chaos, piecing together little bits of nature's beauty, and putting on a light show. No Photoshop plugins there. Surprisingly, the gulls left the drone alone. They kind of popped up and went, "Oi, oi, what's this?" But they soon went, "It's just a drone. No point." So, yeah. Right, well, that light now has... There's a few gaps in the clouds. The light has now completely lost the scene. And that's the other challenge that I have, given the fact that it's quite sort of speckled cloud, quite broken up cloud. Because I am doing a focus stack. Normally I would focus stack at about f8, meaning I probably need to focus stack a few more images in there. But of course, as that light is changing relatively quickly, I might need to think about f11, even f13. So I can take less images with the focus stack and hopefully get an even light throughout the scene. But I say right now the light is, I'm glad I've kind of shot this before I started chatting to you. So I'll throw this image up and then we'll maybe wander on and see whether we can find another one. So I've come walking back across the little beach towards the car, and I noticed this beach as I was walking out that quite often it's quite messy with lots of footprints and whatever, but whether or not there was a slightly higher tide last night, it was quite pristine. Now of course you've got my little line of footprints through it, but there was lovely ripples. Now as I was walking across, you could tell that that'll be a sparrowhawk. And what it needed was a little bit of light. Now, I kind of was hoping I was going to find a little bit of dried kelp or something like that, and I have just here, but the light has completely gone. It really does need the light to sort of give you some of that definition of those curves in the sand. So I've set up a shot and I'm going to hang around here because, say, those clouds are a little bit broken, so we might get a little bit of light coming through. Lovely soundtrack to keep me company anyway, and the lapping of the gentle waves beside me, so not a bad place to wait for the light. So again, probably we'll have to focus stack this, and because again the light might be quite fleeting, I might be out at something like f11 or f13 or f something or other, but we'll hang around here for a little bit and see whether we get any light. So it's now a good half an hour later or so, and no light. And as I say, I think that cloud's going to stay. Seems to be thickening up a little bit, so not this time, but having a little bit of time just to dander around this beach. Again, keeping the old grey matter going, and there certainly looks to be some nice scenes if this was to happen again, where we get this lovely rippled effect, which hopefully we will. Come down here again at dawn, and rather than looking at the bigger vistas. And again, I know I say this a lot, but I have said this before. One of the things I love about photography now, and how much I've kind of changed, is the fact that, whenever that light got a little bit harsher for the bigger scene, I would have just packed up and come home, but there is just an absolute abundance of subjects to shoot and to just meander through, and I love it. And I love not the fact that I'm comfortable with not pigeonholing myself with, intimate images, the grand vistas, long exposures, whatever. Just doing whatever kind of puts a smile on my face, and this certainly does. And it bodes well for our upcoming plans, because I'm sure there's going to be situations where I go into locations and I've got no idea about them, and that can sometimes be a little bit frustrating, looking for the bigger scene. But we'll talk about our plans in the not too distant future, because it's getting close. Anyway guys, well, I am going to call it here as a vlog. Probably going to head over to the other little beach that sits below the cafe where I parked the car, because again there's some lovely dried kelp and various bits and pieces over there, but that'll be for another vlog perhaps. But for now, once again, I really do appreciate you following along in this rambling, bimbling journey, and hopefully before long we'll be able to stretch our wings a little bit and go beyond the Causeway Coast. Right guys, thanks a lot for watching, and until next time, take care. Bye bye.